The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed, with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, "Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society."
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution.
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
Why the war draft is a must now. Fellow Ambazonians, after 5 years of relentlessly fighting for the liberation of our homeland from the genocidal occupation of French Cameroon, it's very important that we remember why we are fighting and why it's so absolutely necessary that we continue to fund the struggle by joining the war draft and making even greater sacrifices than before. When the United Nations General Assembly in Resolution 1608-XV of April 21, 1961, granted independence to the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, they did not expect that 61 years after, this territory will be forcefully annexed and colonized by a belligerent neighbor. It must be noted here that the territory of the Southern Cameroons had already attained self-government as early as 1954, a status we enjoyed up to 1972, when the state of West Cameroon, Southern Cameroons, was illegally annexed, overrun and occupied by French Cameroon. And because the Southern Cameroons within secure internationally recognized boundaries, she had a functional police force under the direct command of the Prime Minister and head of government, including a mobile paramilitary wing that played the role of a territorial self-defense force. It was this vibrant territorial force that was illegally and surreptitiously disbanded by the Yaoundé regime in the mid-60s, when our nationalist leader and head of government of the Southern Cameroons, Bobe Augustin Ngom, was overthrown by the creeping annexationist regime of Amadou Ahidjo. So as we enter another patriotic war draft and fundraiser for our violent restoration forces, we must remember that just as we restored Dr. Ndele's government on October 1st, 2017, we are also restoring our territorial self-defense force, now dubbed the Ambazonian Restoration Forces, ARF. Charged with not only the defense of our country and our nation, but also with driving out for once the occupation forces of genocidal Cameroon, Taking part in the war draft for our Ambazonian restoration forces is therefore a great patriotic duty that we must all embrace. As we speak, the country of Ukraine is under attack, with parts of her territory occupied by the Russians. We have seen how the Ukrainians have risen like one man to defend their territory, instituting a war draft that has prohibited men from the ages of 18 to 60 years of age from leaving the country. Not only are they not allowed to leave the country, but they're also compelled to take an active part in the defense of their country against the occupying forces of Russia. This is the same patriotic fervor that we expect from all Ambazonians now in fulfilling our sacred duty of defending and freeing the motherland from the genocidal grip of Cameroon's occupation forces. Thousands of our young men and women have risen since 2017, picking up arms and fighting the occupation forces to the death. We've lost thousands with many more injured, while thousands more are in the bushes fighting day and night to drive out the occupiers. It's therefore imperative that those of us, especially those in the diaspora, that are not confronting the enemy on the ground play our part and fulfill our sacred duty of drafting, raising the funds, and providing the logistics that our restoration forces need to resist the occupiers. Fellow Ambazonians, joining the draft and contributing generously is not a matter of choice for any Ambazonia, but a sacred duty to oneself, family, and the nation. They say sacrifice makes gods of men, makes us sacred, so let us do our duty now. Our President, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, and the Resource Mobilization Department will be visiting each and every county soon for another round of the draft. Based on the current geopolitical atmosphere, this is a time for us to empower our restoration fighters on the ground to achieve some of our key strategic and military goals to once more prove to the world that we are ready to not only reclaim, but to defend our country after liberation from any future aggression. By building a formidable, responsible, and credible self-defense force, Ambazonians will be proving to the world that we are a responsible state and ready to play a constructive role in the Gulf of Guinea. The rest of the world is watching and waiting to see how capable Ambazonians are in terms of establishing themselves as Africa's newest state. We must therefore make even greater sacrifices in our efforts to upgrade our valiant restoration forces as they lay their lives on the line to liberate Ambazonia. As a footnote, we must remember that it costs between $3,000 to $5,000 to properly equip each restoration fighter to effectively engage the enemy. So as we look up to our boys on the ground, expecting results from them, we must first ask ourselves how far we've gone to empower them. We must first ask ourselves how much financial sacrifices we have made to provide them the means to fulfill their sacred duties. Fellow Ambazonians, this is the time for us to draft until we drop. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, we should be asking ourselves some critical questions. Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day while our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to resist the occupiers? Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort while our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the front? Are we still throwing big birthday bashes while our restoration forces lack basic communications equipment to maximize their efforts? Are we still going on cruises and expensive vacations while our IDFs on the ground go without food and logistics? Are we still finding excuses not to make the necessary sacrifices in drafting big while our restoration forces lack the game-changing equipment that they so desperately need to bleed the enemy? On a daily basis, how much are we putting aside for our liberation, knowing that only through fierce resistance are we going to liberate our beloved country? Are we providing the federal government and the CIC the means to carry out some of the critical intelligence and other special operations across the national territory? Fellow Ambazonians, as we ponder these questions, we must remember that a goal that is not funded is nothing but a wish. And we must not let Ambazonia die as a wish, because we fail to fulfill our patriotic duties by making the great sacrifices befitting of a great people. Fellow Ambazonians, the war draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No great victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices. We are enough, so let's draft, draft, and draft until we drop. Our existence as a people depends on that. Welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, early this Monday morning proactively sends a message of condolence to the people of Japan who are shocked with the unprecedented death of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Who wanted Abe dead and why did they want him dead? What are the socio-political and/or socio-economic bearings that led to his murder? That's what we intend to find out tonight. Abe was only minutes into his speech and had just raised his fist to make a point when he stumbled and fell after 2 shots were fired from behind him at close range. Seconds later, men thought to be members of Japan's Secret Service tackled the suspects to the ground in a dramatic intervention caught on video. Meanwhile, in West Africa, Nigeria, ahead of the presidential elections come 2023, Peter Obi picks Dati Baba Ahmed as running mate. It is believed that the very thought of these two has inspired the Nigerian youth like never before. The duo seems to bring hope for a nation that is divided by many things. In Undaunted tonight, as we get into the untold stories in Ambazonia, we will start by highlighting once again that attack against Amba Queen Kemi Eshu. La République du Cameroon's past media proxies have gone on rampage. At all costs, they want to sabotage Kemi Eshu and to stop her from fostering her great work for her people's freedom and the freedom of her nation. Quote, I will be leading a criminal complaint against this Chief Moja Moja in the days ahead with other human rights advocates and lawyers. It is more than time we make him pay for his crimes before a court of law. I will teach him that no one is above the law in Cameroon and that no one can take the laws into their hands as he does with all impunity, says Barrister Tamfo. But it would appear Ambazonian journalist George Tondo doesn't seem to be flattered or moved. Mr. Tondo says this is a caution to those who might be excited. Comrades, let's not be excited or focus much on this or make much noise about it. If he wants to sue Moja Moja, let him just go ahead with the lawsuit and not announce it. His or their reaction is belated. Let's keep encouraging our boys around Boya to keep track of that buffoon until he is trapped. It would be a slap on us if Moja Moja is not taken down or punished by the lawless law, he says. Well, talk is cheap, so it is said. Our ears are on the ground and we will always update you. Meanwhile, Mezam County drafts this week. What is the strategy behind such wisdom? Before we even get into all of that, let's get the prime headlines.
These are the prime headlines for today, July 11th, 2022. The President of Ambazonia, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Sako, sends condolences to the people of Japan. Shinzo Abe's death shocked in Japan at the killing of former Prime Minister during election campaign. In West Africa, Nigeria, ahead of the presidential elections come 2023, Peter Obi picks Dati Baba Ahmed as running mate. Today we will highlight once again the attack against Amba Queen Kemi Ashu, human rights lawyer, to check the excesses of a so-called soldier and traditional ruler Moja Moja. This Saturday, all roads will be leading to Mezam County draft. The importance of studying the draft in Mezam County cannot be overemphasized. The consequences of language imperialism and poor infrastructure network has enhanced by the colonial administration is one of the untold stories we will be looking at today. And in sports, Seb Blatter and Michael Platini were found not guilty following a fraud trial. Diplomatic correspondence is correspondence between one state and another and is usually of a formal character. It follows several widely observed customs and styles in composition, substance, presentation, and delivery, and can generally be categorized into letters and notes. We believe that the condolence message by President Sako to the peoples of Japan after the unfortunate assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is a great diplomatic move and evidence of the kind of leadership that Ambazonians has graced with during this time of war. At a time like this, when Ambazonia is seeking for external partners and recognition within the international community, one can only applaud the president for such a move. This is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Onyi Obalan. As always, I have Sir Smart here with me. Good evening, Sir.
Good evening, Onyi. Good you catch your breath. There has been a press release from the Office of the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, former British Southern Cameroons, to the Ambassador, Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan to the United States, with the subject message of condolence to the people of Japan on the tragic murder of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. It reads, on behalf of the people of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, the former British Southern Cameroons, I wish to extend my heartfelt condolences to the Abe family in particular and the people of Japan at large on the murder of the former Prime Minister. The tragic death of Mr. Abe is a big loss not only to Japan but to all democratic-loving people around the world. The use of violence to settle political disagreements must be condemned, no matter whether it is perpetrated by an individual, like it seems to be the case here, or an organized political system like what Cameroon is doing to Ambazonians currently. For more information about this, please visit www.ambazoniagenocidellibrary.com. We call on all freedom fighters and democratic-loving people. We call on all freedom and democratic-loving people worldwide to say no to violence in solving political problems. done this day, July 9th, 2022, on behalf of the people of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, former British Southern Cameroon, signed President Samuel Ikome Sako. You know, there's been a lot of hypotheses rising from different corners of the world in reaction to the sudden death of Japan's Prime Minister. And what you just heard me read was a condolence message from the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, His Excellency Samuel Ikome Sako, and more of such condolences have been sent to the family of the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, from other presidents all around the world since his unprecedented demise.
What we know so far about the killing of former Japanese Prime Minister, Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died after being shot while giving a speech in the western city of Nara on Friday. Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died after being shot while giving a speech in the western city of Nara on Friday. Abe appeared to be in a state of cardiac arrest when he was airlifted to hospital after the shooting. Emergency services said he had been wounded on the right side of his neck and left there. Police arrested a 42-year-old man at the scene. He has been named Tsuya Yamagami from Nara. He is a former member of the Maritime Self-Defense Force. According to Fuji TV, he reportedly left the force in 2005. Media reports quoted police as saying that the weapon thought to have been used in the attack was homemade. Japan's guns ownership restrictions do not allow private citizens to have handguns, and licensed hunters may own only rifles. Abe, Japan's longest-serving prime minister, had been killed in Nara giving a campaign speech ahead of his Sunday's upper house elections when he was shot. All parties suspended campaigning after the regulations.
Japanese politicians reacted with extreme shock to the shooting. The current Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said Abe had led the country with great leadership and he was lost for words. Kishida added, "I have great respect for the legacy Shinzo Abe left behind and I pay the deepest condolences to him." The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called the assassination shocking and profoundly disturbing, describing Abe as a leader of great vision and an extraordinary partner for the United States. Attacks on politicians in Japan are unusual. There have been only a handful in the last half-century, most notably in 2007 when the mayor of Nagasaki was shot and killed by a gangster, an incident that resulted in still further tightening of gun regulations. The last time a former prime minister was killed was in 1936 during Japan's radical pre-war militarism. Well, let's have Gab Ellison take us deeper into this story.
Sorrow and disbelief descended on Japan after Shinzo Abe, the former prime minister and a towering political figure, was shot dead while giving a campaign speech on Friday morning. Abe, 67, was pronounced dead early in the evening, prompting a flood of tributes from current and former world leaders and anger that a politician could be gunned down in broad daylight in one of the world's safest societies 2 days before an election. Abe, the country's longest-serving prime minister, who resigned in 2020, was flown to hospital by helicopter after the attack outside Yamato Saidaiji railway station in Nara, an ancient capital in the country's west, known for its Buddhist temples and free roaming there. As the light faded on Friday, supporters and local residents visited the scene of the attack, a pedestrian crossing next to a wide guardrail, where Abe had been calling on voters to re-elect his Liberal Democratic Party (LDP) colleague Keisato in this Sunday's upper house elections when he was shot. Alone and in pairs, they stepped forward to lay flowers, bottles of sports drink, slices of watermelon wrapped in cellophane, and bags of sweets. They bowed and clasped their hands in prayers, some shed tears, and lowered their heads again as they turned towards banks of TV cameras. I was having a cigarette break near the station when I heard a huge bang, a local traffic control employee who declined to give his name told to The Guardian. There was white smoke everywhere. I wouldn't say people were panicking like me. They initially had no idea what was going on. Abe was only minutes into his speech and had just raised his fist to make a point when he stumbled and fell after 2 shots were fired from behind him at close range. Seconds later, men thought to be members of Japan's Secret Service tackled the suspect to the ground in a dramatic intervention caught on video. The suspect was named as Tetsuya Yamagami, a 41-year-old resident of Nara who spent 3 years in the Maritime Self-Defense Forces until 2005. Police believed he had crafted a homemade gun. The weapon appeared from TV footage to compromise 2 cylindrical metallic parts heavily bound in black tape. Police said they were investigating whether he had acted alone. He reportedly said he had wanted to kill Abe because he was dissatisfied with him over issues unrelated to politics. The suspect said he bore a grudge against a specific organization and believed Abe was part of it. Police said, adding that it was not clear if the unnamed organization actually existed. Several similar homemade weapons to the one used in the attack were confiscated during a search of the suspect's house. Makoto Ichikawa, a local businessman who had been near the train station waiting for his wife, said Yamagami came out of nowhere onto the middle of the road holding a gun. He said he was struck by the Iceland's normal expression. Ken Namikawa, the mayor of a nearby town, used a microphone to call for people with medical experience to help Abe. A photograph taken at about the same time showed Abe lying face up, blood on his white shirt, and surrounded by several people, at least one of whom was administering heart massage. Abe was airlifted to a hospital for emergency treatment but was not breathing and his heart had stopped. He was pronounced dead after emergency treatment that included massive blood transfusions, hospital officials said. Hidetada Fukushima, the head of the emergency department at Nara Medical University, said the attack inflicted major damage to Abe's heart. In addition to 2 neck wounds that damaged an artery, causing extensive bleeding, Abe was in a state of cardiopulmonary arrest when he arrived at the hospital and never regained his vitals again, Fukushima said. The psychological fallout from an assassination by a gunman in a country where gun crime is almost unheard of is hard to gauge at this early stage. But Abe's death, coming at the end of an election campaign, will almost certainly prompt a rethink of the tradition of bringing politicians into close contact with voters. Some parties announced that their senior members would halt campaigning for Sunday's election, but the ruling LDP and its junior coalition partner Komeito said conversing would resume on Saturday. An official of the Nara Prefectural Police Department said the department will look into whether security at the event was sufficient and take appropriate action. Several commentators said security around Abe should have been stronger. Several Japanese prime ministers were assassinated in the pre-war era, but Abe is the first sitting of former premier to have been killed since the days of militarism. There have been other politically motivated killings in more recent times. However, in 1960, the leader of the Japan Socialist Party, Inejiro Asanuma, was assassinated during a speech in by a right-wing youth armed with a samurai short sword. In 2007, the mayor of Nagasaki, Icho Ito, was shot dead by a member of a Yakuza crime syndicate. Japan's current Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said Abe had demonstrated great leadership during his time in office, adding that he was lost for words. I have great respect for the legacy Shinzo Abe left behind and I offer my deepest condolences, a visibly upset Kishida said after abandoning a campaign stop and returning to Tokyo. This attack is an act of brutality that happened during the elections, the very foundation of our democracy, and is absolutely unforgivable. Joe Biden, who is dealing with a summer of mass shootings in the US, said gun violence always leaves a deep scar on the communities that are affected by it. He added in a Twitter post that he was stunned, outraged, and deeply saddened by the news that my friend Abe Shinzo, former Prime Minister of Japan, was shot and killed. He was a champion of the friendship between our people. The United States stands with Japan in this moment of grief. And Abe was a divisive leader adored by conservatives who had tired of decades of official soul-searching over Japan's wartime conduct, but loathed by progressives who watched on with horror as he used his party's comfortable majority in parliament to loosen some of the legal shackles on the country's military, known as the Self-Defense Forces. Among his admirers were Rami Miyamoto, a 23-year-old company employee who had stopped to watch Abe's speech on the way to a work meeting. "I'm in a state of shock," she said. "I followed Abe's career as Prime Minister and admired what he was trying to do for Japan. I remember him as someone who faced huge challenges, but always came back and carried on. I will never forgive the person who did this. Yuji Izawa was working from home when he heard helicopters overhead. Moments later, he received the news alert saying Abe had been shot. My home isn't that far away, so I came to find out what was happening, said Izawa, who works in telecoms. I was praying that he was going to be okay, but he trailed off. How could something this terrible have happened in Japan? As you can see, Japan is indeed shocked. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
Now let's come to Africa, West Africa. Peter Obi is a former Anambra State governor. Anambra State has been described as one of the advantaged states in Nigeria, West Africa. He had on May 27, 2022, joined the Labour Party few days after dumping the main opposition party, which is the People's Democratic Party, saying the party is the right platform that aligns with his aspiration. Across Nigeria's political spectrum, many are already inundated with the idea that former governor of Anambra State and presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, will pull a surprise victory in the 2023 presidential election. But it is expedient to look at how much a victory might happen. Nigeria has been known to be a conscious political nation. The question is, will Peter Obi emerge as the president of Nigeria come 2023?
That's the question indeed. Meanwhile, the youth in Nigeria have thrown in their support for the aspirant who they have tagged as young and innovative. These youths have over the months shown extra social media support for their preferred presidential aspirants. They even created a hashtag Obedient to show how they support the Labour Party candidate. If recent tempo and moves by Obi are perfectly sustained till February 2023, Obi might just be able to spring surprises at the poll if he can control the narrative and the influence he is currently wielding in the country. Until recently, many underestimated Obi's dexterity in comparative socioeconomics, his will to bring a change in governance, and the support he enjoys from young Nigerians. Many leaders have claimed to have achieved a lot while trying to fix the problem of Nigeria, but obvious metrics suggest that they have sorely failed.
If the recent tempo and moves by Obi are perfectly sustained till February 2023, Obi might be able to spring surprises at the poll if he can control the narrative and the influence he's currently wielding in the country. Until recently, many underestimated Obi's dexterity in comparative socioeconomics, his will to bring change in governance, and the support he enjoys from young Nigerians. Many leaders have claimed to have achieved a lot while trying to fix the problem of Nigeria. Now, the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has unveiled his running mate, Senator Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed. Baba Ahmed is the founder of Bayes University in Abuja, Nigeria, and he was announced as the Labour Party vice presidential candidate in Abuja on Friday. The 52-year-old was a former lawmaker who represented Kaduna North Central District in Nigeria. Baba Ahmed's announcement was coming barely 24 hours after the Director General Peter Obi campaign organization Doyin Okupe announced his withdrawal as a vice presidential candidate of the party.
Obi, who is seeking to succeed the president, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired after the expiration of his regime in 2023, said, "I thank all Nigerians, especially our youths, who have joined me in the mission of taking back and reuniting Nigeria. This project is yours and for the future of your children. I am just a facilitator." Now, Obi really sounds like an interesting candidate, but the question is, will Peter Obi be able to win the 2023 elections? Is the million-dollar question. Political analyst says it may be difficult but not impossible. The conditions to make it happen are fairly in place. It is just about seizing the moment and making the beckoning history. Here are tips on what Peter Obi supporters need to do. The first major step is registering and collecting the PVC unless over 70% of his supporters possesses their PVCs and vote. their support will ultimately prove ineffectual if they don't get their previous season vote, and it will just end up as empty noises. Some aspirants has claimed that Peter Obi is a social media president, but things may just turn around for good for the man of the moment in Nigerian politics. He may just have a strategy by picking Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed. But then Gabalesin has more details. Let's watch.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned. You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Unfortunately, we don't have Gab here right now to report that story, but there's still a lot in regards to West African news. And still on the Kemi Ashes situation, our Amber Queen, we started and highlighted the discourse on Saturday. Amber Queen Kemi Ashu, I would say the most consistent, patriotic activist, faces fierce attacks from Atanga Nji and Colonel Bankwi, paid agents.
They are obviously battered by the successes of President Samuel Ikomesako, the sponsored agents of La Republique de Cameroon teamed up with coup plotters to sabotage one of the finest activists of the revolution, Kemita Ashu.
They cloned her account and used it to post divisive and false information about the struggle. In an attempt to stop, Kemita Ashu had to change her profile picture to stop the whole cloning and the whole sabotage of her own account. She changed her profile picture several times, and the criminals who cloned her account did the same thing by just copying the pictures, including that of President Sako. What does this tell you? The importance of information during wartime. Like we say all the time, wars are fought and won in the media. Make no mistakes about this.
This is how serious it can get during crucial times. The enemy is not leaving any stone unturned. The truth is, if you visit her real page, Kemita Ashu's page, you'd see that she has thousands of followers. But this cloned attack has only a few hundred. This cloning is done to confuse genuine supporters who get confused by negative information coming from this fake page, as they all know that Kemita Ashu is a true revolutionary fighter. They even use the fake account to go live using the voice of another great activist, Mama G. Please, Ambazonians, do not fall for these manipulations.
Talking about screenshots, Ayaba chose media manipulation of screenshots. We have observed that he just wants to pull attention. Ambazonians do not care about him anyways.
Now, talking about Ayaba Cho, you realize that he uploads, especially on Twitter, he uploads images, deletes, and at the same time debunks them. Now, when you look at the case of Ayabacho critically, you realize that he's just being childish. And people go through all this kind of stress to prove a baseless point. And it's quite scary. Let's take a look.
It's quite funny because you can see in one picture where he says the message attached below is created by the enemy from the same account. If you're a social media user, you'd have your questions, you have your skepticism. It is quite not accurate, having to be the same person who posts something in the same space of time from the same social media platform, the same account, and the next thing you're writing to say you didn't post that. It's really, really tacky there. It's something that people would question. It's not looking really legit, if I use that word. What do you have to say on you about this post and debunk?
All right, we'll definitely come back to that, but let's move on with the news right now.
Okay.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Barrister Tamfo Richard is a lawyer, he's a human rights advocate, and he's a peace crusader. Barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Courts of Cameroon and Nigeria to sue Moja Moja over human rights abuses. John Ikome, aka Moja Moja, a Cameroonian soldier and traditional ruler, notorious for his xenophobic crusade in Boyer, local government area in the Atlantic zone, has to face the axe of the law. According to the lawyer, he says, and I quote, "I will be leading a criminal complaint against this Chief Moja Moja in the days ahead with other human rights advocates and lawyers. It is more than time. We'll make him pay for his crimes before a court of law. I will teach him that no one is above the law in Cameroon and that no one can take the laws into their hands as he does with all impunity," declares the no-nonsense Barrister Tamfo. Barrister Tamfo is categorical that the ruler and soldier must pay for his numerous acts of torture and assaults against innocent civilians in Boyer local government area and other parts of the Atlantic zone.
You know, he says his attention has been brought to a number of videos wherein Chief Moja Moja is seen intimidating, torturing, maiming, and assaulting innocent citizens for no good reason. We cannot continue to sit back watching this guy unleashing terror and acts of violence on innocent civilians with impunity, he says. To the best of my knowledge, this guy is a military personnel of the Cameroon Army and a chief of a certain village in Boya local government area, stated Barrister Tamfo. He adds that in a recent video he saw Chief Moja Moja kicking a young man into his car boot. It is not clear what awaits this young man or certain that the young man is still alive or dead, he says. The responsibility of La Republique du Cameroon in protecting the lives and property of its citizens is put in jeopardy by Chief Moja Moja, who is being described as a licensed human rights violator and xenophobe. He has on several occasions accosted, tortured, and disfigured many young people in Boya under the pretext of hunting separatist fighter for the independence of Ambazonia. Hunting separatist fightings for the independence of Ambazonia. Now you want to ask, how does what he does prove that? Well, Barrister Tamfo notes, with his reign of terror on civilians, Barrister Tamfo wonders aloud why the Cameroon government he is supporting is so quiet about his atrocities in a country which calls itself a state of law.
Some of his excesses recorded includes the attack on 4 young men whom, according to a video he personally recorded, hails from Babanki Toba local government area. Late last year, he targeted a 30-year-old pregnant woman who is from Congo-Sogolia, who alongside her 2 children was dragged from her husband's house in St. Pete Boyer, tortured, paraded along the street, and later handed to the gendarmes that she had been a girlfriend to General No Pity, a dreaded restoration fighter. Judge Tondo reacts, and this is what he says to Ambazonians. I quote, "Comrades, let's not be excited or focus much on this or make much noise about this. If he wants to sue Moja Moja, let him just go ahead with a lawsuit and not announce it. His or their reaction is belated. Let's keep encouraging our boys around Boya to keep track of that buffon until he's trapped. It would be a slap on us if Moja Moja is not taken down or punished by the lawless law.
Tamfo & Co. law firm is a team of legal experts made up of specialized and experienced attorneys, barristers, solicitors, and academicians ready to face any legal challenges that clients may encounter. We are a full-service law firm serving principally Cameroon and Nigeria, but we also cover Africa regions and the world. We have a multilingual staff that can proactively work in each case to enable us meet our clients' expectations. Tamfo & Co. law firm combines experts' legal skills, industry experience, and regional know-how to consistently provide diligent professional legal advice to our clients. We handle contentious issues in a professional manner that protects corporate reputation. We believe that every successful venture needs to grow, strengthen, and defend its business. Thus, the transnational regulatory and risk assessment services we provide ensures this. This is their status quo.
Barrister Tamfo Richard has been very daring in the defense of human rights abuses in Cameroon, and most often than not, he has been a regular customer in police custody. All right, to throw more light to this, we have our in-house analyst, Mr. Tapa the King, and of course, SOS for Defense, Chingy is here. Chingy Francis, Mr. Chingy Francis is also here. Let's get their thoughts on this particular issue. Mr. Ta, welcome. Mr. Francis, you're welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Onye. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Let's get the thought of
Okay.
Mr. Francis first. Mr. Francis, can you please?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we can.
Thank you. Evening, fellow viewers, dear Ambazonians. Thanks for having me this evening to brief our people on some of the current happenings and the way forward. I want to first of all thank the Anchor team for an excellent job. And I equally want to thank our restoration forces on the ground, 21 Gun Salute, for their braveness and all their effort to make the enemy sweat. Um, as we all heard and we've observed on the social media, lately this clown in Boya called Moja Moja has been really traumatizing our people, claiming that he is taking care of Amba boys. But unfortunately, if you look at his victims, these are people that are just unfortunate to be in a wrong place at the wrong time, because I haven't really seen him come face to face in a shootout with the Amazonian Restoration Forces to prove that he is that strong to face them. He can go on with his drama on social media, but I just want to assure the people that drastic actions are not taken on social media. So do not be moved by what is going on. I equally want to appreciate the effort of um, the law firm that is standing up to challenge this young man to the contest, to understand that he is not above the law. But we understand that being a kangaroo environment is definitely not really going to pay much attention to that. because he is just going by the playbook of his master, and he wants to become relevant by trying to seek some attention. I'm calling on the ARFs of Fako County, all the ARFs in the Federal Capital Territory needs to be reactivated and go to work. We cannot allow this to keep going on. Moja Moja is nobody that we should be worried about. So let the ARF do the right thing and make sure this idiot is his early grave. I think there were people like Patrick Ekema who came up and did not want to listen while we were calling on him to backtrack and make sure he leaves the land ancestors. He refused, and today he had gone to join the ancestors. I believe if he can wish Moja Moja, then Moja Moja should understand that in the days ahead, he will be facing tough times. So please, let's not be worried about that. We are doing everything at the level of defense to take care of him. However, we do not need to be on social media with that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Francis Chain. Let's get your thoughts, Mr. Ta.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Good evening. I would ask your permission to, first of all, make a comment on the issue of Kemi Ashu's Facebook page that has been cloned by fraudsters, and we know them already. Those are La Republic paid agents. Intelligence has it that a certain guy in Germany, Nanchuk, is behind the cloning of that war, and that is what my country people does. My country people is unapologetically a La Republic paid agent in the diaspora that is there to counter whatever we do, make false reports to create confusion. And this is a revelation for Ambazonians to see if you can have Nanchop and Coopers now partnering with my countryman to do such a sabotage. It only tells you that where they are working, what they are working for, and where they are possibly leading us to. Everybody knows the resilience of Kemi Ashu and her page, and what the page does is one of the only activists where that has been consistent and that has been honest, and then she's facing such fierce attack. And like you rightfully mentioned, Star, it only shows us the importance of of communication and why things are happening the way they are happening. I just received another screenshot which I just didn't have it on time, and it's just unfortunate I didn't have that screenshot on time. If I'm talking on this, if it is possible, you can maybe just do a screen capture of the two pages so that I explain to Ambazonians the difference. And I want every Amazon watching me right now to just report the clone. The clone is a page. Kemi's real account is actually not a page, it is an account. Now, what these fraudsters have done, they have created a page with the same name, Kemi Ashu, and now they put it Kemi Ashu Info. And so what they do when she changes the pictures, they also go to change us. And then now, okay, this one that is showing on the screen right now, this is, just scroll right down a little bit. Perfect. This is Kemi Ashu's real page. I want everybody watching, follow. This is the real page that you can get real information. This is the real page. This particular page streaming. This is Kemi Ashu's real page. So follow it. Now the fake one, you can just put the clone and the fake page. If you go to the fake, yeah, this is the fake page. This does not belong to Kemi Ashu. This is sponsored by Cameroon, managed by Nanchop in Germany, and my country people in the UK. And now their objective, go down again. Don't go up, go down, please. Thank you. If you go there, no, go down, keep going down. I want you to see the content that is on the page. If you look at the content that is on the page, they try to screen capture the same things that Kemi Ashu is doing to now to information. Now they go to the real information and change it to make you to think that it's Kemi Ashu. Why? This is again is just to, you can remove the screenshot now. Thank you very much. This again is just to show that Kemi Ashu is creating impact when she reports Yaoundé shivers. Anytime she reports, Yaoundé is shaking, and they want to destroy her. They're trying to intimidate her to sit quiet. A lot of them have been trying to send attacks against her. We've had certain planning to cause even havoc in our family. Ambazonians, that will not happen. We should not let that happen. I'm calling on everyone watching now, every Ambazonian, home and abroad. We're supposed to join forces with Kemi Ashu to fight these criminals. And the simple way for us to do it is you go to the page, report every post on the page, report it as false information, impersonation, report it to Facebook, keep reporting it, and keep telling people it is the fake page. The other, I've shown you the distinction of the two pages. One of them, you have President Sarko's images, and the other one, you have a certain lady we don't even know and some fake things. Report the page every day. Make sure you're reporting all the posts that come up on the page. Thank you very much. Now, to react to the Moja saga and Barrister Tamfu's intervention, I want to applaud Barrister Tamfu for choosing to do what he has decided to do. But then there is a twist in it, and that's why I agree. George Stando is one of the reporters of ABC Amba TV, is also a very popular Ambazonian. He reported in the home front in major cities before he came to the diaspora. And George Stando says, if Barrister Tamfu really wants to do a case, he should just go ahead. No need for media campaign. It's a laudable effort. Go ahead. So I think this can be, it is more of a political endeavor than a humanitarian endeavor. Yes, Barrister Tamfu is a human rights lawyer. And we think that the common law lawyers in the Cameroons, what they have to do at this time is not to take a petit moja that the Ambazonian Restoration Forces will take care of, to take him to waste time and to gain some political points by taking him to court. Ambazonian Restoration Forces will take care of him in due time. Yes, if you want to do that, we have our girls that have been raped. You have to start, first of all, by suing Cameroon to court for allowing their military to rape women. You started this war, you, the common law lawyers. The youth came out in support of you because of the things you did in 2016. They thought that the government maltreated you and beat you up. But today, the lawyers, you are defiling the very revolution that you ignited. Immediate causes of the war that we are facing today is because the lawyers were tortured, and the youth in Cameroon, in British Southern Cameroon, today Amazonia, thought that they will not sit back and watch their institutions being destroyed, their own lawyers being tortured. And where are the lawyers today? We have Barrister Amba today, is president of a flop bar association, and you, the lawyers, are supporting. You, the lawyers, are supporting Cameroon. You, the lawyers, are effectively participating in a system you claim that Cameroon was destroyed. Why can't you boycott that system? You are making our case in the diaspora difficult. Why are you not boycotting it? So I think that Barrister Tamfu, people might be excited about what he's doing, but it is not enough. You can do better. We have 40,000 people are dead today because we thought that we have to tell Cameroon no. It is unfortunate for you to pretentiously tell us that you want to sue Moja to court. In which of the courts? A court that Cameroon is going to pass the judgment they want. What do you hope to achieve? Do you want media popularity? That's all noise. Please, let's continue with the news. Let's continue with the news.
All right, and as we continue with the news, all right, let's just go for this short break.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Right, while we continue with the news, I will look at language identity. Language is an identity of a people. Language is a vital part of human connection. Although all species have their ways of communicating, humans are the only ones that have mastered cognitive language communication. Language allows us to share our ideas, thoughts, and feelings with others. It has the power to build societies. The people of Ambazonia are identified with their English language. Therefore, the English is the bond that binds us together. Any attempt on the English language in southern Cameroon is a threat to the identity of the people. Such a threat cannot and should never be accepted. In an attempt to assimilate the people of the southern Cameroon Ambazonia, La Republic du Cameroon is using language as a tool. The administrative language is the colonial regime in southern Cameroon is solely French. Can people sit back to see their identity tampered with? No is the obvious answer. This is just one of the many reasons for the people of Ambazonia seeking to part ways with La Republic du Cameroon.
The Savannah States of Ambazonia Office of Football Federation had received in Bamenda, chief town, with administrative headquarters, has received outfits. These outfits were provided by one of the colonial institutions of La Republique du Cameroun, FECAFOOT. FECAFOOT is an acronym for Federation Camerounais de Football. On Sunday, July 10th, 2022, the staff of FECAFOOT Savannah States had these outfits on. The intriguing of it was the fact that the inscription on the outfits carried the inscription FECAFOOT Nord West. A dress cannot be for the people of Southern Cameroon to be worn in Southern Cameroon, and the inscriptions on them are in a foreign language. This is a calculated attempt by La Republique du Cameroon to impose a language on the people of Ambazonia.
All right, we'll definitely display that particular picture for you to see exactly what Star Smart was talking about. I mean, you can't give people a shirt to wear without them understanding what they are wearing. We'll definitely display that for you. Now, this has been a long-standing objective of the colonial regime. In 2016, lawyers and teachers staged a peaceful strike action against the imperialist attitude of the French subsystem on their different institutions. Francophone magistrates were sent to courts in southern Cameroon where common law is practiced. Teachers equally could not sit back to French teachers on teaching their children with phrases like sweep the board instead of saying wipe the board. They had a unique demand for French Cameroonians to be taking out southern Cameroonian courts and schools. In response, the colonial regime leaders declared war on the southern Cameroonians. La Republique du Cameroon is bent on killing the identity of the Ambazonian people, and suppression is the only option for southern Cameroonians to preserve their cultural heritage.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned. You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
The importance of starting the draft in Mezam County cannot be overemphasized. Mezam County, with the headquarters being Bamenda, is without any gainsay the heartbeat of Ambazonia, especially when it comes to geopolitics. Bamenda, it is said in La Republic, is the only town that slides in the dry season, a no-nonsense town that does not entertain any trash or rubbish. From the politics of the John Ngu Fonchas, the Juas, down to the Frundis in the 1990s, Bamenda has been spitting fire to the Banana Republic. In the early 90s, when salaries of civil servants were cut in La Republic du Cameroon, even Francophones or in Yaoundé vowed that Bamenda will not accept it.
This is so true, Star, because Bamenda people know their right and will not want anybody to trample on them. Those living with the frogs will agree with this report that the name Bamenda to them represents every English-speaking Cameroonian. In Yaoundé, when you tell a frog that you are from Kumba, he or she will exclaim, "Ah, Bamenda, you are powerful." The IG, through its most resilient strategies President Sako thought it's very wise to start the draft from this powerful end, and we give God the glory. Mezam County covers an area of 1,745 kilometers squared, and as of 2005, it had a total population of 524,127 Bamenders. Also, they are known as Abakwa and Mankon Town in the city of the Midlands, with a population of about 500,000 people.
Wow. Mezam County has the following local government areas: Bafut, Bali, Bamenda 1, Bamenda 2, Bamenda 3. Just in case you didn't know, there were 3 Bamendas. Santa, Tuba, and museums. Well, museums, Mankan Museum's art, heritage, and culture from the Mankan Kingdom. The Mankan Museum presents cultural and artistic production of the Kingdom of Mankan. The Mankan Museum reserves equally harbors considerable amazing arts and craft objects that are occasionally exhibited.
The area is endowed with museums. Prominent among them are the Bafut Palace and the Savannah Botanic Garden Museums. The Bafut Palace Museum is compartmentalized and includes peculiar sections such as the Queen's Mother's Room, the German Bafut War Room, Slave Trade Room, Royal Animals, ancient musicians, and traditional dance instruments. The Bafut, Mankan, and Bali palaces are UNESCO heritages. We still have Mr. Tar and Mr. Francis Chin here. Would want them to add their thought. Of course, draft is coming, really coming, and we all have to be very prepared. All right, so. I can see Mr. Francis Chingy there already. All right. Yeah, we should be excited. I mean, I would really love to see smiles on our faces. Draft is something we all should be excited about because just like we usually say and we usually mention on our reports, we all should draft until we drop. Yes, so we should be excited about drafting. Let's start with you, Mr. Chin. Let's start with you. Why do you think that the interim government started with the Mezam County? Do you think that it's a very strategic one, knowing that they have a huge population and they have a whole lot of great things attributed to that county? Or you just think that it's for the sake of, what should we call it right now? But what do you think?
Thank you for that question. It should be very, very clear that we know the chance of Bamenda is our liberal struggle. We know how hard it comes to talking about this revolution. And picking Bamenda to be the of our draft time was not a, but I went for it just Bamenda to get to the proper structure or the right nomenclature for that structure, which is Mezam County. Thank you, Star. I did hear you name the LGS of Mezam County. And I want to make it very, very clear that there was a slight modification because some of those names are the names that the colonial master refers to us as. We are not a number. There's no Bamenda 1, Bamenda 2, Bamenda 3. Did not that occupied their land since the 17th century. So we have Mankom Bachongwa, we have Nkwenza, and we have Bamendangwe. These were the former Bamenda 1, 2, and 3. If we can, we equally have the Bali LGA, we equally have the Santa LGA, we have the Bafut LGA, and we have a LGA. So Mezam County has 7 LGAs. And these are vibrant LGAs that are mobilizing and inviting all Ambazonians to show up on Saturday and draft.
Yes, sorry. We want to cut in there briefly. You know, we here
Yes.
on Undaunted, we really want to educate people as much as we are trying to inform. You corrected us on something that we want to get clearly. You said there is no Bamenda 1, 2, and 3. So we'd really want you to go through the LGAs in Mezam County all over again so that not just us here, but other Ambazonians who may have known what we know can also get that clearly. Please, we just want you to go through the local government areas again for clarity purposes. Yes.
Yes, it's important. Thank you for that. Mezam County is made up of 7 LGAs. We have Mankon Bachongwa. This is typically the Mankon portion of Bamenda and the Songwas. So put together, they are called Mankon Bachongwa. Then next to that is Nkwenza, which is that portion of Bamenda that is occupied by Nkwen, and another area called Nza. So that Kwenza is merging those areas. And these are a little below the station hill all the way towards my 4, as if you are going towards Bambui. Next, we have the Bamenda LGA, which is the up station all the way towards Akum. Next is Santa LGA, which takes from Akum all the way to the borders with Republic. Then we have the Bali LGA. We have the Bafut LGA. And finally, we have the Tuba LGA. Tuba is the LGA that is harboring Bambili, Bambui, and the Babankis. Those are the 7.
All right. Thank you so much. So you could go on with the analysis of why Mezam is very strategic for the draft. Thank you, sir.
Yes, to get back on track, I'm calling on Ambazonians to write their name in the book of history. We have been drafting for 2 years now, and it is our 3rd annual draft. If your name is not yet in the records, please be advised that these records are secure. Even our children's children will see this. We are on all Ambazonians, most especially all Ambazonians that hail from Mezam County. You have an obligation to draft. These are not normal times. The draft is a means to show your support for our country. If your name is not in that record, shame on you. I am calling on all Ambazonians, those of goodwill, those who are challenged, those who like to be on social media and expect that things need to be done. This is the moment to draft and draft. We want Mezam to be able to produce $500,000. Yes, we can do it. And we are calling on you, inviting everybody to join Mezam County Draft on Saturday. Let's produce what is needed for the firepower at the home front. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Francis. Please, Mr. Ta, before we get to you, before you talk about Mezam County and drafting, probably one of the reasons why people should draft is also about the language imperialism we talked about. Remember, we were trying to link the shirts people were wearing to what they speak and what they do not understand. So I think we have the pictures ready right now, so we could show that. Then you can also connect it as one of the reasons why people must come out to draft on Saturday. The technicians will do that right now.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Tara and fellow Ambazonians, this is exactly what we were talking about in our immediate past report on language imperialism. This is a picture. Imagine wearing what you do not understand. Well, Mr. Tara, over to you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
You just saw on the screen a very embarrassing picture.
Yes, buddy.
That is actually in Bamenda, the heart of Mezam County. It's written there in French, Fekafut Northwest. That is northwest in English. Now, this is colonization. That is unapologetic colonization. You come to, these are the same people. They would have been ashamed even to put there the English and French. They didn't do it. So they just lightly puts it in French. Fekafut Northwest. It's terrible. And if I can link that, why should you not? How much are we going to tell you what the draft has done before? All the naysayers, not today, have a voice because of the draft. On Wednesday, I just want to announce this what is going to happen on Wednesday. On Wednesday, you're going to listen to the audios message we promised you since last week of the bucket mouth affirming that he brought the deal that scammed Ambazonia 135,000 on Wednesday. I hope I'll have Mr. Francis Chenye and Sylvester Zama and a few others join me on Wednesday for that panel discussion. And there are lots of things that will reveal. I don't want to go on that. And just so I make you understand that the draft that is coming up on Saturday is a big one. Before this program, I called the chairman or coordinator for Mezam County. He's a very humble person, very, very hardworking person. He was at work. I think he told me he was even at the hospital doing some things. Mr. Theo, Fosi, and he promised to be with us on Undaunted tomorrow to give us updates on what is happening in Mezam County. But just to give you a hint, the people all across Mezam, the vice president you just watched the show before now is from Mezam County. And as I speak to you, Mezam County has already drafted a lot of thousands of dollars. Mezam County and Momo counties, they're always topping the charts when it comes to drafting. I think it was strategic for the president and his team to have chosen that Mezam should kickstart the draft. The amount drafted will boost the momentum of other counties that will be doing their draft. That is very strategic. Now coming into the war room, the strategy on the ground, the battle fought on the ground. Mezam is a border town to La République du Cameroon. So the battle that is here is Mezam links two great counties. You have Momo and Manya. These are wonderful counties. Mezam, like you heard in the report there that came from the home front that you just read from our reporter at the home front, he made a mistake and gave some of the names. I think he would have received the corrections right now. Now, you realize that Bamenda, that is the heartbeat, has always been esteemed in the entire Cameroons. All the major changes that have taken place in the Cameroon got their momentum from Bamenda. In 1992, the biggest support of the SDF party, when I'm talking about demonstration, came from Bamenda. In 2016, the biggest support of the consortium of Agbobala, even though they have betrayed Ambazonians today, came from Bamenda. As we speak, the biggest momentum of the fight is coming from Bamenda. In fact, French Cameroon calls every Southern Cameroonian Leba. When they do that, they do it for two reasons. Either they want to provoke you, it's an insult, or actually identify you as somebody resilient. There is a Bamenda spirit, as a spirit that is meant for everyone to emulate. Talk to you, my people in our town. Oh, now I'm listening for Saturday, a very special day. I was born in Bamenda, so it's a city I know very well. I understand the resilience of the Bamenda man. When a Bamenda man is to do something, they are unstoppable. Like I was born and raised in Bamenda. At the age, I was just 10 years old when military helicopters were throwing tear gas in my classroom because I studied in one of the most popular primary schools in Bamenda, that's Small Mancon. That's how Pobia was being us. At my young age, I saw bullets like never before in Bamenda. So I know what I'm talking about. So the draft on Saturday for Bamenda is my draft. My parents are not from Mezam, but if they could live there so comfortably and give birth to me there, then I think I should proudly say in July to those watching in Tamba, those watching in Bali, that's as much I know. Now I know July, Osaka, all of the Gembas in the entire Mezam do understand this. So this is a greeting to you. The distinction there is those, the Amu, and then those from Santa speaks a little bit of Meta or something, where my mom is coming. I think I can try that by saying Afazi and those from Santa on the outside. So it's a draft that you want us all to be a part of. The ambience of the draft on Saturday will be kicking off again tomorrow. We'll focus the entire show of Undaunted tomorrow with this. Thank you very much, Onye, for giving me this much time.
All right, thank you too. I love the ambience both of you are creating already. The smiles on your face shows that there will be lots of excitement and there will be a lot of success that will be recorded come Saturday. All right, the last question for you, Mr. Chinye. So what are your personal expectations? We know that you're playing a very significant role at the end of the day when it comes to the Ambazonian freedom. So what are your expectations at the end of the day, especially for Saturday?
Thank you. My expectations are just too many. The first is I'm expecting Ambazonians to come out in numbers and to go deep into their pockets and sacrifice. Let's finish this fight. We all can see that the enemy is already paralyzed, and we just need to drag them to the front. All we need are the resources to make sure our ARFs have enough, push these enemies out of victory. Secondly, another reason is I know the ARFs are watching us. They know the figures that we will be drafting. So I'm expecting them to be professional in hand. Let's make sure the money is put to good use so that we can have great and excellent results. If we mismanage the money, then we will change, because that will just drag us a little more longer. But if we do the right thing, we already have a winning. That is the biggest advantage Ambazonians have working with this government. We have a proven advantage with our technology. We are not collecting this draft money to go testing what we don't know. No, we are just ramping up production to make sure we see more action, more work on the ground. So I'm calling on the restoration forces to continue to do their best, while I equally call on all of us in the diaspora, even the people back home. We have had multiple calls from back home for people who are willing to do something. We encourage them to liaison with their LGAs, with their counties, and see how they can chip in their own widow's mite. Make sure your name is in the records, because we don't want you to miss on this opportunity to show your love for Ambazonia. Thank you all. Hope to see you on Saturday with a heavy envelope that will move this revolution forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, SOS Francis Chingy. In everything you said, I think I'd like to correct what you just said. You corrected of everything you said. They were so important, so many things you said. But the correction you made is quite significant, and I'd like that we just run through it again. You said there are 7 local governments in Mezam County, and they are as follows: Makon Bachongwa local government area, Nkwenza local government area, Bamendangwe local government area, Santa local government area, Bali local government area, Bafut local government area, Tuba local government area, and Babanki local government area. No Bamenda 1, 2, or 3. So these are the 7 local government areas we have in Mezam. Thank you so much. Today you've been our teacher, not just our analyst, not just our SOS for defense. Thank you so much for your time here today.
All right, and right after this break, we will bring you the editorial. Do stay with us. Let's have the editorial now.
In our editorial today, as compiled by our editor-in-chief and news director, Paddy King, we will return to the historical timelines, and we will make progress as we recount the historicity of today's Ambazonia. Before today, we had a walk through pre-1858, Amber's Bay before the arrival of the Europeans, 1858, the city of Victoria established by Alfred Saker, 1884, establishment of the Amber's Bay Protectorate, 1887, the Amber's Bay Protectorate ceded to Germany. 1916, Britain and France occupied German Cameroon. 1919, German Cameroon divided at the Versailles Treaty. We moved into 1922, the Cameroon became a League of Nations mandate, and fast forwarded into 1946, where we examined how the Southern Cameroons became a UN trust territory. We moved into 1954, when the Southern Cameroons attained self-rule in Boya. We have discussed the 1959 free and fair elections held in the Southern Cameroons. We got into 1960, Southern Cameroon's leaders visited the UK and the UN. We also went into 1961 UN plebiscite vote held in the Southern Cameroons. We talked about 1961 independence to the Southern Cameroons. We examined 1961 and we went further into 1965. His Excellency Bobe Augustin Ngomjua becomes Prime Minister. We came through into 1968. Honorable Solomon Tandeng Mina became the Prime Minister, and finally into 1972, the state of the Southern Cameroons abolished. We entered 1973. Honorable Solomon Tandeng Mina made Speaker of Parliament. We also examined 1984. Biya unilaterally changed the name of the country. And finally, into 1984 again, Ambazonian Restoration Council demands end to union. 2013, Dr. Mfo Ngala Mfo elected chairman of the SCNC. After the death of Chief Etun Ayamba, the SCNC elects Dr. Mfo Ngala Mfo as the new chairman of the Southern Cameroons National Council, SCNC. A staunch Southern Cameroon's Ambazonian nationalist arrested and locked up dozens of times, the colonial regime, Dr. Mfo carried out many trips abroad on a diplomatic offensive, including trips to Geneva, London, New York, and other capitals where he advocated for the unconditional restoration of Ambazonians' independence, adopting the motto, the force of argument and not the argument of force. He was among the Nera 10 abducted with Sissoko Julius Ayuk Tabe and serving a life sentence in Cameroon's capital, Yaoundé. On October 16, 2016, Southern Cameroon's lawyers launched sit-down strike actions protesting the gradual and deliberate assault on the common law system that has defined the very concept of justice for the peoples of Ambazonia, with massive support from the people. 2016, Southern Cameroon's teachers launched strike action, and on November 21, 2016, a little over a month after, Southern Cameroon's lawyers joined the strike in protest at the concerted erosion of the Anglo-Saxon educational system unique to the people of Ambazonia. The action by the teachers to join the lawyers' strikes brought in the civil society at large and the population led by nationalist leader Comrade Mancho Bibixi in what was later dubbed the Coffin Revolution. Mancho Bibixi will be later on arrested, jailed, and sentenced along with his comrades to long prison terms on trumped-up charges of secession and insurrection in a military tribunal, in violation of their fundamental rights to due process. 2016 formation of the Anglophone Civil Society Consortium. Leveraging their demands with a focus on the restoration of the defunct two-state federation, amidst other demands, the lawyers, teachers, and civil society organizations went on to form the Anglophone Civil Society Consortium, ACSC, as an umbrella movement to represent the Ambazonian people in any future negotiations with the government of Cameroon. Pressured by the Southern Cameroon's people, who saw an avenue to push for their legitimate demands for self-determination and restoration of statehood, the consortium insisted as its minimum demands the restoration of the defunct Federation of Two States as existed prior to May 1972. In 2017, the consortium and the SCNC banned On January 17, 2017, the Cameroon Civil Society Consortium, CSC, and the Southern Cameroon's National Council were outlawed and banned through a ministerial decree signed by Ministry René Sadi, the Minister of Territorial Administrations of the Republic of Cameroon. This move led to the arrest of its leaders, including the President Barrister Agbo Nkogo Bala, the Secretary General Dr. Fontem Neba, and other teachers and activists including Pen Teres Khan, Conrad C., and many others. Meanwhile, many other activists went into hiding, while others fled abroad to Nigeria and beyond. Well, that's where we end the historicity for today. And today, as always, I would like to exceptionally take you through our payment methods so that you can be a part of this winning strategy. It is simple. ABC Amba TV payment channels, Cash App, telephone, +1 240 486 8768. Hashtag $Amba ABC. Zelle, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, telephone +1 240 486 8768. PayPal payments at abcambatv.com. UK bank account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, sort code 231470, account number 229908885. IBAN GB25TRWI 23147022990885. Europe account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, BIC TRWI BEB1XXX. IBAN BE42967309341854. Australian bank account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, BSB code 802985, account number 211040023. Canadian bank account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, institution number 621, account number 2001102861148, transit number 16001. New Zealand account holder, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, account number 04202010420357. Thank you for always being part of these donations. I am Star Smart reporting for Undaunted ABC Amba News.
All right, let's go to the world of sports. Former FIFA President Sepp Blatter and Vice President Michel Platini have both been found not guilty following their fraud trial in Switzerland. The pair stood trial over a payment of 2 million Swiss francs made by Blatter to Platini in 2011. Both men had denied wrongdoing and said the transfer was belated payment for Platini's advisory work for FIFA. On his arrival at the court on Friday, Blatter said, and I quote, "I'm not innocent in my life, but in this case, I am innocent." Blatter, who is 86 years, and former UEFA President Platini is also 67 years, were banned from football in 2015 and indicated last November. "I won our first game," Platini said, following a case that was opened in 2015. Their 11-day trial over the 2011 payment took place at the Federal Criminal Court in Beluzone and concluded on the 22nd of June. In his words, I quote, "I wanted to express my happiness for all my loved ones that justice has finally been done after 7 years for lies and manipulation," said Platini.
Platini continued to say, "The truth has come to light during this trial, and I deeply thank the judges of the tribunal for the independence of their decision." He said, "I kept saying it, my fight is a fight against injustice. I won a first game. In this case, there are culprits who did not appear during this trial. Let them count on me. We will meet again because I will not give up and I will go all the way in my quest for truth." Swiss businessman and sport administrator, Blatter joined FIFA in 1975, became general secretary in 1981 and then president of World Football's governing body in 1998.
Gab Ellison has more.
Latest world sports. Sepp Blatter and Michel Platini found not guilty following fraud trial. Former FIFA President Sepp Blatter and Vice President Michel Platini have both been found not guilty following their fraud trial in Switzerland. The pair stood trial over a payment of 2 million Swiss francs made by Blatter to Platini in 2011. Both men had denied wrongdoing and said the transfer was belated payment for Platini's advisory work for FIFA. On his arrival at the court on Friday, Blatter said, "I am not innocent in my life, but in this case, I am innocent." Blatter, 86, and former UEFA President Platini, 67, were banned from football in 2015 and indicted last November. "I won the first game," Platini said, following a case that was opened in 2015. Their 11-day trial over the 2011 payment took place at the Federal Criminal Court in Bellinzona and concluded on 22nd June. "I wanted to express my happiness for all my loved ones that justice has finally been done after 7 years of lies and manipulation," said Platini. "The truth has come to light during this trial, and I deeply thank the judges of the tribunal for the independence of their decision. I kept saying it, my fight is a fight against injustice. I won the first game. In this case, there are culprits who did not appear during this trial. Let them count on me. We will meet again because I will not give up and I will go all the way in my quest for truth." Swiss businessman and sports administrator Blatter joined FIFA in 1975, became general secretary in 1981, and then president of World Football's governing body in 1998. He remained in the role for 17 years. Following an investigation by FIFA's Ethics Committee, received a ban from football for 8 years, later reduced to 6. In 2021, he received a further 6-year ban after the Ethics Committee investigated bonus payments. Following the verdict, Blatter said, "I am relaxed, definitely, because during 7 years, I was always under pressure because there was a court case opened against me. Now it's finished, so I am happy. I am also happy for international football. It's justice, but it's a victory for me." In 2015, US prosecutors charged several top FIFA executives with corruption following a major inquiry by FBI. The charges came after a dramatic raid on a luxury hotel in Zurich and the arrest of 7 FIFA executives. Blatter later resigned as FIFA president, and Platini himself became embroiled in the investigation and withdrew his candidacy for the post. Tennis. Novak Djokovic beats Nick Kyrgios to win Wimbledon title. Novak Djokovic underlined his recent dominance at Wimbledon with a composed and controlled fight back against Australia's Nick Kyrgios to win a 4th consecutive men's singles title. Serbia's Djokovic, 35, lost the first set after some incredible serving from Kyrgios, but ended up winning 4-6, 6-3, 6-4, 7-6, 7-3 on center court. It is Djokovic's 7th SW19 men's title, and only Roger Federer has more. Victory also moved him one behind Rafael Nadal's record 22 men's majors. Top seed Djokovic made a slower start than his 27-year-old opponent, who initially seemed nerveless in his first Grand Slam singles final, but the Serb did not lose belief as he showed all of his experience and news to turn the match around. "He's a bit of a god, I'm not going to lie. I thought I played well," Kyrgios said as he congratulated Djokovic. Losing his winning position began to irritate Kyrgios, who is known for his fiery temperament as well as his exciting tennis. While Kyrgios increasingly remonstrated with his support team, Djokovic remained cool in the heat of the battle on a scorching center court. After clinching victory with his 3rd match point, Djokovic dropped to his haunches and picked a blade of the center court grass to eat in what has now become a customary celebration. It was the first major win of the year for the Serb, who was stopped from playing in the Australian Open after being deported because of his vaccination status and lost to Rafael Nadal in the French Open quarterfinals. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
And with that sports report, we have come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, here is a recap of our major stories.
The President of Ambazonia, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Sako, has sent condolences to the people of Japan. Today we looked at Shinzo Abe's death and the shock in Japan at the killing of former Prime Minister during election campaign. In West Africa, Nigeria, ahead of the presidential elections come 2023, Peter Obi has picked Dati Baba Ahmed as his running mate. We highlighted once again that the attack against Amber Queen Kemi Ashu is from the enemy.
Human rights lawyer Barrister Tamfu and others to check the excesses of a so-called soldier, traditional ruler Moja. This Saturday, all roads will be leading to Mezam County draft. We looked at the importance of starting the draft in Mezam County, and in sports, Seb Blatter and Michael Platini were found not guilty following a fraud trial. The consequences of language imperialism and poor infrastructure networks as enhanced by the colonial administration is one of the untold stories we looked at today. And that was it for Undaunted tonight, bringing into the news untold stories. On behalf of my co-anchor Star Smart and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in. I am Onyi Opala.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.